I think he is, or I'm not sure.
It's also Trackman Maestro, right? So this
Right.
The Trackman Master and Trackman Maestro. Now, all things being equal, Joe Mayo's always been a gentleman with me. So I just, and let's put aside the insults, the back and forth, the threats, the bullshit. Put that aside. I want to know what the technical differences are within this argument. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not
Happy
interested
to
in
do so.
the personal attacks or any of that shit because that goes nowhere.
So just so you know, I don't really view it as an attack by Joe. And I would like to say this because I said this on the podcast. And by the way, a lot of people don't realize this because, they don't go more than one layer deep.
All right.
I posted a podcast with a video element that you can find on our YouTube page at Measured Golf
Okay.
by searching Measured Golf. And I show all the data
And
and
we're
I
gonna
kind of
link, yeah, we're
walk
gonna
through.
link this interview to your measured golf and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
So I've shared all of this. And the first thing I said on that podcast, I do not have any problems with Joe Mayo. I don't have a personal problem with Joe. I think Joe is a wonderful guy from what I know. I don't know him that well, to be perfectly honest. But from
Okay.
what I've seen, I'm a big dog lover. I have 4 of them myself. And what he does with his donations to the animal, like, it's all great. I don't have too many problems with that. Where I kind of got a little upset with things is that there's other short game coaches who tend to take a lot of crap from that crowd, not necessarily Joe, but Joe's crowd. And there is a lot of people who I've recently been working with and for the first time, and they come in and they're really struggling with chipping. Like a lot of people that are golfers cannot chip and pitch the ball. You know that. I know that. We all know that as an industry. Chipping and pitching is this black box that most golfers simply cannot do very well. So the thing that I don't love with what Mr. Mayo is doing is the fact that, and I know this isn't true, by the way, Joe is a good coach. He wouldn't be the guy he is if he wasn't.
All right.
So I know that he is teaching more than this one shot. I know that. Like, I know people who have worked with Joe in the past month, and literally they're telling me, like, hey, man, like, yeah, he does that shot. But if I'm like, hey, what do I do if I got to elevate it? Well, then we do something else, right? Because you obviously, with Joe's methodology and staying left and increasing VSP and going double digits down, that's going to be a very difficult shot to or a very difficult pattern to get the golf ball to elevate with. So I live in the Midwest in the state of Michigan. Almost all of the greens are elevated. There's a lot of Donald Ross golf courses. So you're going to have some kind of land angle and have to be able to get the ball up in the air to create some stopping power. So my issue, if you want to call it that, is that every time I see Mr. Mayo's social media, it's this is the way, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. And it's like, okay, cool. I don't disagree that if you want to hit that particular style shot that's very low with a lot of backspin and get it to kind of stop on a dime, he's not wrong. It's a way to do it. But then when he starts talking about how it's a mass driven thing and we're moving the center of mass up and down, that is my point of conflict. Because as I clearly show in the video and as I clearly show through the force plates, all things remaining equal, what actually transpires is that I was able to take a shot and move it from like 7 down to like 11 down and kind of more or less keep everything else equal. Okay. What the effects were was that I increased the spin rate on the ball by 150 RPMs on a total of 4,000. So the point I'm making is that the percentage of change for the spin rate is relatively low. I didn't really increase the spin by that much. Now, the interesting thing is that by increasing the angle of attack in the VSP, I lost 7 degrees of land angle on 30 degrees. So the percent of change there is huge. And like I said, if you are losing a third of your landing angle, that ball does lose stopping power, which is what the TrackMan data shows that I also include in that podcast. So the interesting thing about all this is I think, and I believe, and I'm happy to say that Joe has a way to hit that shot And I promise you, when you're stacking left, which is basically what it is, and you're moving your center of pressure and your center of mass left, you are definitely going to be able to make contact better. But the thing is this, when you stack left, whether you lean the shaft or not, you've moved the whole thing towards the target. So there's all this lean in the situation, and the contact gets better. But another way I could say that, since we kind of talked about TrackMan a little bit, is I'm also increasing the smash factor. And here's the thing, with my driver, 150, let's do it, baby. That would be great. But anytime I'm chipping and pitching the golf ball, the goal is always the same. I'm trying to slow the ball down. I'm not trying,
You're trying to control the ball speed. So you want
right. But
to,
I don't
there may
want
be
a
a
hot
situation where
shot.
you wanna take it low and let it run, just like
Yeah,
you'll get the
fine.
heavy shot where you got no green to work with, and you gotta figure out
Right.
to get out there as soft as possible, right?
Right. But
Sure.
generally speaking, if you go and you talk to almost any tour player, right? More often than not, they're not hitting that low hard one that runs to the back pin.
That's
We're
actually
trying
a
to kind
special that's actually like a specialty shot. Cool to watch. That one happen, that's cool, but it's probably a highly
I would say
risky shot,
this.
you know?
I think it's the Instagram cool shot. That's how I describe
Yeah,
that shot.
absolutely.
Like if you're next to the 18th, I'm sorry, if you're playing 18 and the clubhouse is right there and there's all those people out there and you want to make everybody go ooh and ah, then yeah, like hit that shot because like they will go ooh and ah.
Yeah.
But when you talk to people who are playing, and I know Joe does too, and I know Joe teaches this. I don't want to, I'm not saying Joe teaches one thing. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that Joe is presenting it as there's only one thing. And that is where the consumer is paying the ultimate price because people who can't chip all of a sudden are like, I'll do anything. Joe has a huge following. I mean, a lot of people know who he is. He's all over social media and people find him very quickly. And now that's the thing they try to do. But they're not Joe and they're not me and they're not you. And they don't understand that you're never elevating a golf ball from that. And more importantly, and this is where I really kind of struggle with the whole thing, is yes, you could move mass forward. You could. You're going to have a lot of lean, which, like we talked about, is going to take the dynamic loft, lower it way down. So the launch is going to be low. But here's the other thing most golfers are not going to be able to pull that off very well. And the reason that you have to match VSP up with it is if I stack on my lead side, I'm going to have a very difficult time getting my left lat to move across my body, which is what supports and holds the shoulder. So all of a sudden, the only thing I can really do is lift it. Now, the thing is, and this is not up for debate with me, the thing is that pressure is always moving the opposite of mass. Always. Pressure is where we're going, mass is where we've been. So when we think about stacking left, the thing that really makes this a difficult maneuver for people who aren't on the LPGA and PGA tours is the fact that as you drop the club towards the ball, hopefully using gravity, as we're doing that, your pressure starts moving backwards.
Mm.
And now all of a sudden, it's very easy to blade that shot. I'm not saying you're going to hit it fat. I 100% think with Joe's methodology and the way he teaches it with mass forward, you're not hitting it fat. A lot of people have accused me of saying that is not the problem. You won't hit it fat. But guess what? You can blade it and you can blade it very easily. And I'll tell you what, I think for a lot of golfers, a chunk is probably going to work out better than a blade.
Yeah. So, but if you looked at what the antithesis of Joe's methodology is there was a couple of short game guys who were talking about using the bounce, right? Looked like kind of a drop kick move, right?
Hmm.
That was being promoted. It was as
Hmm.
a forgiving shot, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about population sample of whatever percentage of golfers that cannot chip a golf ball. If you get them to compress it and make good contact, a lot of guys would be really, really happy.
Really happy.
Really happy.
Really happy.
Whether it
And that's the thing.
whether it winds up near the hole or not, it doesn't matter.
Now you're onto
I
something, right?
overcame that phobia.
I don't disagree at all. And that's the thing, right? Like we said, it's a cool looking shot. And to your point, if you're hitting it like off the toe and off the heel and all this other crap, and you finally hit one out of the middle, you're thrilled. And this is like what I tell people all the time. We've entered this very weird period in golf. I strongly disagree that we've grown the game in the past 10 years. Like, I know that it covers COVID too. I don't think we've grown the game at all. As a matter of fact, I think we've shrunk the game. And the reason I say that is this: we don't have more golfers on the golf course. We have more people tailgating on the golf course. And they're tailgaters, they're not golfers, right? And literally, there are a ton of people that take lessons from me, and I'll be totally honest. They don't care if they ever hit a fairway again. They don't care what they shoot. They just want to send it. And if it feels solid and it doesn't curve too much one way or the other, that's all they care about. That really is it for them.
Now they wanna
And like,
send it, and they wanna be able to call the cart girl, check her
yeah,
out, get some brews, and
bombs and transfusions, right? Like that's the modern game. So it's, I know the thing that I hate is I know that Joe knows how to do all the shots. And I know Joe's a great coach. And the thing that really sucks is, like, you want to talk about a terrible pitcher and chipper of the golf ball on the PGA Tour? Look no farther than Pat Perez back in the day. That dude couldn't chip and pitch a golf ball to save his life. And Joe gave him a whole other career. And in all honesty, I hope Pat Perez sent half his signing bonus from Live to freaking Joe, because Joe's the reason he got that signing bonus. And like, I know that Joe, and like, I have old video of Joe back when he's still wearing a Callaway visor, and he's talking about using the bounce, and he's talking about getting rid of the forward shaft lean. And like, once again, though, the reason I've never shared that and been like, see, now he's saying something different, is because look, we all have the permission, and we should be given the permission as coaches to evolve and grow and change. Nobody should be pulling up things we've said in the past and trying to use that against somebody who's learned something since then. I disagree entirely with that. But at the same time, like, with a great following comes a great responsibility. And like, dude, if you're the guy that's the face of golf instruction right now and you're ranked 6 on the Golf Digest top coaches in the world, in my opinion, and maybe this is where I've went wrong, and it probably is, to be perfectly honest, I hold him to a very high standard. And I wish that he would just go, hey, you know what? This is really cool and you can do this and it definitely helps. So if you can't like hit the middle of the face, do this. But if you can hit the middle of the face and you need to elevate a golf ball, here's a way to do that too, right? Because a lot of people are going to need that shot way more often than the low skipper that stops on a dime.
yeah, I mean, look, he's using it, and people are obviously liking it, right?
Yeah.
He's getting major feedback, so, whatever works, right? Whatever works for your audience and for the people that
Yeah. He's
I
found an
personally
amazing way to,
I
he's
personally
found,
couldn't do Rudyard's a good guy, and
yeah, I
I
love
don't know
Rudyard.
Parker, but those guys were and I think that probably
So can we cover one thing just real quick? Because I
sure,
think this is like where people really get lost in the sauce. I'm holding a pencil. Okay. I want you to think about the pencil as the ground.
sure.
Okay. So I'm going to call it a water line. Okay. Because I think that's easy to understand. But we have this water line, and then we have, I got a good golf ball. I'm going to look really cool. You ready? Watch this. That's a good golf ball. Okay.
Wow.
So we've got this golf ball that's sitting on the water line. Now, when people think about angle of attack, I think there's a major discrepancy in what people understand angle of attack is. Okay. So before we get into that, let's talk about low point. Okay.
Okay.
You can enter the ground exactly where that golf ball is, but that is not low point. Low point is not where the club hits the ground. Low point is where the club is the deepest in the ground.
Yes.
So when a golf club goes into the ground, it comes back out of the ground and it creates a U shape relative to this pencil. So even though we see that the divot starts right where the ball was, that technically should be a zero attack angle, right? Even though we see that, in reality, the low point is still over here because the club is still traveling down into the ground. So the idea that attack angle is where we start making the divot and we measure from there is just a bad definition of what's going on. And I think that really what needs to happen is I think it would be way more advantageous to maybe discuss where the low point is for the common person who maybe doesn't understand all the physics that go behind TrackMan. It would be much easier to have a conversation about where low point occurs versus the way we get there. And that's what we're trying to do with attack angle is we're trying to describe how we get to low point, in my opinion.
Well, it would seem that, I just had, Monty Scheinbaum on, and we were talking, and I pulled out a stat there that, you know, according to the National Golf Foundation, 17% of all golfers take lessons, right? The bulk of those 17% are advanced golfers.
For sure.
Okay, it's
For
not
sure.
not the the bombs and transfusion crew.
Right.
So it would seem elementary that somebody would have at least an understanding of what low point is, because to me it is. I mean, maybe I'm overestimating what's out there, but you've got these diagrams of left shoulder and this, and it enters here, the deepest part of the divot, yada yada yada. So this is
Not
stuff
that hard to figure out.
it's stuff that's being discussed over the course of last 30 years. Has been there's systems out there, teaching systems that call it a fundamental,
Mhm.
controlling the low